Hello and welcome back to the another episode of the Hindu News Analysis. Well, the date is 18th August 2025, and in this video we are going to discuss some important articles which are very much relevant for your preparation. So, without wasting any time, let's have a look at the first article which we had brought here. It was in the editorial section of your newspaper. Well, the article actually talks about how Supreme Court has interfered with respect to the Election Commission of India's role in the special intensive revision of electoral rules. This article actually highlights, the questions. The article here, it highlights the questions raised by Supreme Court of India, and it has highlighted the concerns with respect to the Election Commission of India's special intensive revision in electoral rules with respect to Bihar, elections. So with respect to that, as we know that we had discussed this special intensive revision of electoral rules many times, and every time the articles are overread because it has led to many things. From last 1 month or 2 months, I can say the Election Commission of India has been under tremendous pressure, whether it would be from the side of the opposition, whether it would be from the side of the political parties coming together. Maybe it is because of how the Congress leaders, they in a way raised allegations against the Election Commission of India. So definitely Election Commission of India is under huge pressure. And then then came the issue of the special intensive revision with respect to Bihar, and then various studies which were done with respect to the special intensive exercise, and we had found out what are the various drawbacks of it, the way it was conducted. So with respect to this, we know that under the special intensive revision which was conducted in the Bihar, approximately 65 lakh voters were removed. They lost their names from the electoral rolls. So with respect to this, the Supreme Court has came in and it has told the Election Commission of India, first give us the list of these 65 lakh voters who had lost their names, and then also specify the reason for what purposes you had removed them from the electoral rolls. So this is one issue which is highlighted in the article, and also the another issue, the article then discusses, the author of the article discusses that the way Supreme Court is asking the questions to the Election Commission of India, it highlights that there is huge mistrust with respect to the Election Commission of India, and also it also talks about the issue of transparency with respect to Election Commission of India, as even the the political parties which are in opposition, they also claim that the electoral rules, the electoral rules they are giving them, they are not traceable, they cannot be scanned, they are not scannable. So there are there are various technical issues which revolve around the Election Commission of India right now. So with this, the questions raised by the Supreme Court here, it has further strengthened those claims, and it is a concern for the Election Commission of India. And also the article also highlighted that how this special intensive revision which was conducted in the Bihar, it has adversely impacted the women electors. It has highly impacted the women voters, because most of the voters who had lost their names from the electoral rolls, they were the women. So with this, I hope you had got the basic crux of the article. Now let's have a look at the key points which were in the article, which could be which you should remember, which can be very much good for your recap. Here the article highlighted first with the Supreme Court's mandate. The Supreme Court ordered the Election Commission of India Here, the Supreme Court ordered the Election Commission of India to publish a consolidated list of 65 lakh excluded voters in Bihar, and then specific reasons for their removal. Then specify the reasons for their removal. So this is what we had discussed. We are discussing this from last 1 month, I guess now. Then the issue of lack of transparency, the Election Commission of India failed to provide a consolidated list or a specific reasons for each voter's exclusion, which the article labels as a violation of natural justice. When you are not giving the reasons why they were removed, definitely it impacts the natural justice, the concept of natural justice, which is prevalent in our, in any society, especially in our society, in our country. Then the third point, which is noted to be It talks about disproportionate exclusion. A significantly higher number of women, approximately 32 lakh, than men, 25 lakh, were excluded from the rules despite demographic data suggesting the otherwise. So this is also the issue which was highlighted, that how demographic data suggests otherwise, because the majorly it should have been men more who should have been excluded from the list, because these are the men who migrate, who out migrate, and it is the men whose lifespan is likely to be less than the woman. So it should have been more number of men being excluded than the woman, but the data shows something different here. Then also it talks about the Aadhaar card acceptance. The Supreme Court has repeatedly nudged the Election Commission of India to accept the Aadhaar card as a valid document for filing claims and objections, a move that would ease the burden on excluded voters. So it talks about the acceptance of Aadhaar card, how Supreme Court is repeatedly asking the Election Commission of India. Then the concerns over the special intensive revision. The article highlighted the problematic elements of the special intensive revision, including its constitutionality and the Election Commission of India's use of non-transparent methods to make it difficult to civil society to audit the electoral rolls. This is also one of the way it is being criticized. Then the challenge to democracy. The article frames the issue as a threat to the principle of universal adult franchise, a cornerstone of Indian democracy since independence. It can impact this universal adult franchise, that every person above 18 has the right to vote, every citizen of our country. So it can impact this, and eventually it can impact the democracy of our country. So these are the issues which are highlighted in this article. Now I can say here that we had discussed this issue, whether it would be special intensive revision or whether it would be the approach how Supreme Court has tried to interfere with it. In every aspect we had discussed it. Now if from tomorrow, if there will be any more article with respect to such topic, it would be not wise from our side to discuss that again, because it would be like discussing everything every time the same thing. So from tomorrow, if there would be such article, we will not take up that. But if there would be something different written there, or some extra information given, then definitely that would be taken. So with this, I hope you had understood the article here, as well as the important points which were given in. Now before moving to the another article, I would like to give the introduction of our initiative, so that if you are new to our channel, you will get more connected with us. Basically this initiative which we had started from 2nd June 2025. What this initiative is, the name of the initiative is Target IAS 2026. Under this initiative, we had promised you every day we will upload 2 videos, one in the morning session where we will discuss the current affairs, second in the evening session we will discuss the static syllabus of yours, and by the month of January 2026 we are going to complete your full syllabus. I guess if you had followed me, you know about that very well. And we had started with Indian polity, which we had completed. We completed the governance, and right now we are discussing the ancient history. Today we are going to discuss the 4th lecture of ancient history mostly. And after that, at the same time we are delivering these lectures, we had also prepared notes for you. We had already prepared Indian polity and governance book for you guys, comprehensive book for your prelims and mains. If you want to get access to it, just mail us. You would be told to pay only 200 rupees. Trust me, if I would have sold it somewhere else, it would cost more than 700 800 rupees. But for you guys, I had promised you from day one that it would cost only 200 rupees. That is why it is costing only 200 rupees. And if you will ask me why your book, the reason for that is because this book is very comprehensively written. You will find every topic in it. It is like a encyclopedia for your Indian polity and governance. Every topic you will find there, and also you will find the prelims as well as mains question with respect to the relevant topics. So if you want to get access to it, please do mail us, and you would be told to pay 200 rupees, and we will send you the electronic copy of it. So with this, I hope you would like this initiative, you would subscribe our channel, and definitely share it with your friends. Now without any delay, let's move to the another article, and let's have a little discussion over it, what it is about. Well, it is about biodiversity everywhere is ordered by a common hidden pattern. Usually this is a new research which is on the biodiversity. Usually what was understood that every continent will have its unique biodiversity. But as the researchers had found out that it is not exactly how it is assumed, but there is something which is common to every biodiversity. There is something common to every biodiversity, common to every biodiversity, and which they had researched on which the studies had been done. So with respect to this, let's have a look at the important points given in the article, then we will analyze what this article actually talks about. Here it talks about that there is a universal rule in the biodiversity. According to the study challenges the assumption that the species distribution within biogeographical regions is unique to each continent. It confirms a universal onion pattern of biodiversity organization, where there is layered structures. Biodiversity is structured in repeating layers across all major regions and taxa. The layers move from a higher rich endemic core to a specific poor mixed transitional zone and at the margins. What this actually article is talking about, usually what we had understood that for every continent or biodiversity there is uniqueness in that, but according to this research it is not that true. There is a universal thing with respect to this biodiversity, and the researcher is giving this name as universal onion pattern. There is an onion pattern. What is this onion pattern? It says that for every biodiversity there would be a region which would be highly dense, where one type of species would be available. Then it would when we will move far away from the core, it would the density will decrease, and we will find out various other species also involved. Then if it is nearby any other biodiversity, then there would be the mixing of various species. This is exactly what the article is highlighting, and this pattern, it is not only found in one place, it is found everywhere. Wherever there would be biodiversity, this pattern would be found out everywhere, and the name is given, the name which the author gives it, is the universal onion pattern of the biodiversity organization. It is a layered structure. There are 4 types of diversity. What researchers measured 4 key metrics in thousands of cells across the globe, and the species richness, this is one. Then there is biota overlap, non-characteristic species. Then there would be the occupancy, how widespread species are, and endemicity, how confined a species range is to a region. So these are the 4 types of diversity which researchers have measured for 4 key metrics in thousands of cells across the globe. Then what is the environmental filters? The study found that the temperature and rainfall could predict which layer a species belong to. If you know the temperature and the rainfall of any particular region, you could know that which range that the species will belong to, which layer the species will belong to. By knowing the temperature and the rainfall, you could predict which layer a species belong to, suggesting that the environmental conditions are primary force shaping these layers. So these are the environmental conditions which force these layers. Then also it talks about the conservation implications. This findings offers a new lens for conservation. Instead of just focusing on protected areas, conservation efforts could be better directed towards the specific altitude zones, key habitats, and natural corridors, as suggested by experts commenting on this study. So the way we used to conserve these biodiversities or these species, now there has been a different approach. It is not only conserving. We should not, now as we are right now only targeting the protected areas, now we can diverse our approach by looking at the specific altitude zones, or we can better direct our conservation efforts now. Then also it talks about the geographical gap. The study acknowledged that some biodiversity rich regions, particularly in the tropics and the global south, including parts of India, were underrepresented in the data sheet for certain species groups, highlighted the need for more regional research. So it highlighted that there is definitely need for more regional research. So what would be the crux of this article? If you have to conclude this article in the simplest way, the importance of this article is that usually what we used to think that the each continent there would be the separate, it would be unique, the biodiversity there would be unique, they have different characteristics. they behave differently. But in reality, according to this research, the biodiversities behave very commonly. There is some universal pattern with respect to these biodiversities, and this universal pattern is named as universal onion pattern, in which there would be the denser, at the middle there would be the denser populations, usually of one kind. Then there would be the intermixing of various species. So this is what the article talks about. And it also highlights there are 4 types of diversities. Researchers measure 4 key metrics in thousands of cells across the globe, for example, which is species richness, biota overlap, occupancy, and the endemicity. Then it also talks about the environmental filters, which talks about how the rainfall and temperature. By knowing the rainfall and temperature, you will come to know to which layer the particular species belongs to. So this is how this article is, what was in this article. Now let's have a look at what type of question can be asked from this relevant article. Here the question says, with reference to new study on global biodiversity, which of the following statements are correct? First, the study found that the biodiversity in different biogeographical regions is organized in a unique and idiosyncratic manner. No, it is not so. It is very opposite of that. It is not a unique idiosyncratic manner the biodiversities behave, but they have a very common approach. Then according to the study, core biodiversity hotspots are characterized by low species richness and high endemicity. This is true. According to the study, core biodiversity hotspots are characterized by low species richness and high endemicity. And that is true. Then third, the study found that the environment factors like temperature and rainfall can predict the distribution of species within these layers. That is also true. So with respect to this question, the correct statements are statement 2 and statement 3. With this, let's move to the another article and let's have a look at it, what it does talk about. Here, the article here highlights the India's approach in Africa. India's approach in Africa, how India is dealing with Africa, and it has taken the Namibia as the research example. Namibia as the research example. You know how the other countries approach Africa. Usually it is their business model to get the resources from there, and it is still, even though, for example, the countries like France, USA, China, they have this colonial idea, but in a very new way, in a very different way. In the modern ways, they have this colonial idea. They will go in there, establish their factories, they will take the resources out of them, but they will not touch the administration and all that. It will act as a company there. But India's approach is very much different. How we connect with the countries, it is very much different. We believe in that both countries should get benefited. We believe in that both countries should be equally respected. We respect the country with whatever the status of the country would be, we respect them equally. But at the same time, when we do so, with the countries like Africa, we have a very peculiar approach. First, we will discuss about the shared legacy of the colonialism, how we were colonized by these countries. Both countries were colonized. Then we would talk about the shared problems and how we can establish our relations for the future purposes. And this is what how we approach the countries like Namibia and the countries in Africa, especially as the case studies of the Namibia. Then also, the article highlights that there are certain issues with respect to India's approach in Africa. Even though we give our statement, we make big statements, when it comes to really implementing those, we are little delayed. We are always late in that. And also with respect to recent visit to Namibia, PM Modi's recent visit to Namibia, we failed in procuring some critical mineral deal. So this is the crux of the article. Now let's have a look at the key points which from which we can get the data of what was in the article. Here the article starts with a unique diplomatic approach. India is pursuing a quieter, adaptive strategy with African nations, favoring mutual respect over conditional aid and instruction. So we always favor the mutual respect over then conditional aid and instruction. It is not like other countries that you give us this, then we will give you the respect, then we will give you the money and all that. Our approach is very much different. We believe in the quieter, adaptive and the mutual respect. Then the article highlights that our approach has been 3-step logic, which is the approach is anchored in a three-step process. First, we have the shared history recalling the joint anti-colonial struggle and mutual support, such as India hosting of SWAPO's first diplomatic office. So this is the mutual shared history. Then we have the current cooperations highlighting pragmatic ties like the growing bilateral trade and targeted investments in the capacity building, such as the IT center in Namibia. How India is helping in there, as India is the IT hub. We know that. Then also the future-oriented ties, pivoting toward knowledge-based cooperation and tech diplomacy. Exemplified by Namibia becoming the first country in Africa to adopt the UPI. So we have this approach also, which will focus on the past, present, and the future. Then what is the contrast with the Western engagement? The article contrasts this with the Western approach, which are often tied to conditional aid, migration deterrence, and episodic withdrawals of the support. So if for the Western, if their interests are not met, then they will withdraw their support without thinking of the country. Then what are the challenges and the gaps which we face there? Despite the symbolic and strategic significance of the visit, the outcomes were considered modest. A major point of failure was the lack of concrete agreement on Namibia's critical mineral reserves, such as the uranium. The article also notes that India's general weakness in consistent long-term implementation of its development ambitions in Africa. Then also, what is the role of Namibia? Namibia is present as an ideal partner for India due to its political stability, mineral resources, and the shared vision for a more just and equitable world order. So these were the key points which were in the article. Now with this, let's see what kind of question can be asked in the exam. Let's have a look at it. Here, directly from the article, how we can frame the question. Here the question says, with reference to the India's recent diplomatic engagement with Namibia as described in the article, consider the following. The first, the approach is characterized by three-step logic, with the final step being focused on military cooperation. No, this is basically the comprehensive based question. Such questions may be relevant for your CSET and also for the GS paper 1 also, because the statement, as I always say, that it is not the questions which are important, it is the statements which make the difference. These are the statements which can be asked in the exam in different language, but the concept would be the same. Then the second, Namibia has become the first country in Africa to implement a real-time digital payment system based on India's UPI. That is true, nothing wrong with it. The article notes that the recent visit successfully resulted in a major agreement on Namibia's critical minerals reserve. No, that's also incorrect. So with respect to this question, the correct statement is statement 2 only. With this, let's move to the another article and let's see what it is about. Well, Nepal PM likely to visit India next month. That is the great news. Why it is news? Because this Nepal's PM, he got elected last year, and from last year till now he has not visited India, and it was supposed to happen very soon after his election, after he being elected, but it got delayed. And it shows that how the conditions are how our neighboring countries are, how our relation with our neighboring countries has been from last few years, and there is no nothing surprising to it. Definitely our relationship with our neighboring countries had gone little worse from last few years. If we look at what happened in the Bangladesh post Sheikh Hasina, not good for India. What happened with respect to Myanmar, what is happening in Myanmar, not good for the Indian interests. With respect to the with respect to Maldives, as there was campaign, out India campaign. So our relationship with our friends, with our extreme neighbors is not good. Then we know about the Pakistan. We cannot, for now it is not visible that we ever can be friends. And with China, the conditions are also issues. There are issues with China. Even though we can settle our trade differences, we can do huge trade, but the approach of the China towards India is not good. They are claiming almost half of the northeast. And also with respect to the Buddhism, we have various issues with respect to them and other neighboring countries. So our relationship with neighboring countries has not been that good, and it was very much evident during the Operation Sindoor. when we destroyed the terrorist sites in Pakistan, we expected that these countries, they would come in our support, but the things were very much different. They, condemned the terrorist attack, but they did not condemn the Pakistan over it, and they were very much neutral, even though they did not took the side of Pakistan, but they were very much neutral towards India. So it showed that there are certain issues with respect to our neighborhood. And post Operation Sindoor, we had tried to, correct what the wrongs which we had done in the recent past. Earlier we saw that how there had been, now the relationship with the Maldives is coming on the track. Similarly, with the respect to the Nepal, how earlier there has been the ministerial level dialogue was there, secretary level dialogue was there with respect to the Nepal, and we are trying to correct the things what we had not done properly in last few years. So with respect to this visit is going to be very much important for India and our neighborhood. And also the PM KP Sharma Oli, he had appreciated India's approach of the neighborhood first policy. So this is a new approach of India. This can be the new step towards our neighborhood, how we had started rethinking our policy, how in fact neighborhood first policy was always there, but the approach was a little different, and now we had started to correct those things. So with respect to this, let's have a look at a few key points which were given in the article and then move to the another article. Here it is the proposed visit. Nepal's Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli is likely to visit India in September. That's what we discussed. There had been recent diplomatic engagements. The planned visit was preceded by a meeting between India's Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri and Nepalese officials, including the Prime Minister Oli. Focus of talk, the discussion centered on enhancing cooperation in areas of connectivity, trade and development. So this would be the focus of the talk. Then neighborhood first policy. Nepal's foreign minister acknowledged India's neighborhood first policy and expressed a desire for continued growth in bilateral ties. Then recent cooperation. Despite delays in the high-level visit, India and Nepal have collaborated on security matters, including holding Home Secretary level talks in New Delhi on July 2025. What is the geopolitical context? The article places the visit in the context of recent political events in the region, such as uprising in Bangladesh, underscoring the need for India to maintain strong ties with its neighbors. So this is exactly what we discussed. So with this, let's move to the another article, which would be the last article for today's discussion. Then let's conclude our today's discussion. Well, this article is about the Gugga Nawami festival. I have a feeling that this a question from it can be asked in next year's prelims. Well, it is about the Gugga Nawami festival. Well, it is a syncretic folk festival celebrated across the North India. It is a syncretic folk festival celebrated across North India. It homes legendary Rajput, namely Gugga, who is respected by both Hindus and Muslims. It honors legendary Rajput prince. It honors legendary Rajput, namely Gugga. His name was Gugga, and that person he is respected by both Hindus and Muslims as a saint or a deity with the power to control snakes and protect children. It is believed that he has the power to control snakes and protect children. For that, the woman, they highly respect him for controlling the children, and even if the barren woman would be there, they would come to his shrine for that. So this day is celebrated after the Rakhi, with the devotees undertaking pilgrimage to Gugga Medi in Hanuman Gali, Rajasthan. So it is celebrated in the Hanuman Gali, Rajasthan, after the Rakhi. So this is about the article. Now let's have a look at the key points so that you will get the proper idea about it, what was in it. First, the syncretic nature. Guga Noami is a powerful example of a syncretic festival, as Guga is worshipped by people of different religions. Hindus venerate him as a Gugaji, while Muslims call him Guga Pir or Guga Zahir Pir. Geographical spread: the festival is widely celebrated across several northern Indian states, including Rajasthan, Haryana, Punjab, Jammu and Kashmir, Uttar Pradesh, and other parts of the North India. Historic figure: Guga was a Rajput prince from the Chauhan clan. He is depicted riding a blue horse and holding blue and yellow flags. Divine powers: he is believed to possess divine abilities to control poisonous snakes, and he is particularly worshipped by mothers for the protection and well-being of their children. Barren women also pray to him for the womb of an offspring. Then festival calendar: the festival is observed on the ninth day of the dark fortnight Krishna Paksha of the Bhadrapada month, typically after Janam Ashtami. What are the rituals? The celebrations last for 9 days, including pilgrimages, devotional songs called Pir Ki Sole, sung by snake charmers, and prayers at a Guga shrine called Marhis. So it is what this is what you need to know about Guga Nomi. Guga Nomi. You need to know these important things about it. So with respect to this, let us see what kind of question can be asked in the exam. Here the question says, with reference to the Guga Noami festival, consider the following statement. First, it is a harvest festival celebrated in North India primarily by snake charmers. No, it is not an harvest festival. Second, the festival is an example of syncretic tradition, as Guga is reserved by both Hindu and Muslim devotees. True. The main pilgrimage site for the festival is located in the Hanumangarh district of Rajasthan. That's also true. So with respect to this question, the correct statements are statement 2 and statement 3 only. With this, we had completed our today's discussion. I hope you would have liked the video. I hope you would share it with your friends, and I definitely hope you would subscribe the channel. Thank you for staying with me. Thank you very much, and have a nice day.